Well, hello, my dear friends. Justyn Smith here, and I want to thank you so much for click and play today. It is a blessing to have you here with us on the channel. Today, we are looking at Psalm 63 with this title, Pursuing God in Your Wilderness. Pursuing God in Your Wilderness. And I want to give you verse 1, 2, and 3 before we jump any further into the points of the broadcast today. I want to give you a little bit of explanation as to where we believe this psalm has come from as a time frame in David, the sweet psalmist of Israel's life, so that we could gather a greater understanding on why it's important that we put to practice what David put to practice for the glory of God. Here are the verses, verse 1 through 3. O God, thou art my God, early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee, my flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is, to see thy power and thy glory, so as I have seen thee in the sanctuary. Because thy loving kindness is better than life, my lips shall praise thee. This is an opportunity for you and for me to be able to come before God in the midst of our wilderness and say, Lord, yeah, this is a place that I would rather not be right now, but I know that you are great and you are good regardless of the season of life that I am facing. So once again, pursuing God in your wilderness. And we notice that David did not quit singing in that stage of his life, nor did he cling to a former psalm via repetition. But in his valley, David allowed the emotions and desire of his longing become his psalm and his prayer. He allowed, get this, his heart to be pinned down by the Spirit for generations to come to find grace in time of need. 2 Samuel 16, 2 Samuel 17, you can read a little bit about David pursuing God in his wilderness, or you can focus on this psalm right here and notice that his heart is being pinned down for us to receive encouragement during our wildernesses as well. Number one, here's the perspective, oh God. It's understood that we need the correct perspective in all phases of life, and it would be good for that perspective to be, oh God, in the midst of our storm. Notice verse 1. O God, thou art my God, early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee, my flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is. And we focus back at the first part of verse 1 where it says, O God. This is a prayer in perspective. My perspective is God is still alive. God is still well. God is still in control, even though I am going through the valley and through the wilderness of my current situation. Therefore, as I have the right perspective, as I rest my eyes on God, I can move forward in this wilderness, though I'm very still right now. Then I notice point 2, the personal. So we've already seen the perspective, but let's see the personal. The personal phrase, thou art my God. So we notice it again in verse 1. O God, that's the perspective, thou art my God, the personal. So we could combine the two verses and say, O God, the perspective, and O God, the personal is in the person of God. O God, thou art my God. He wants this relationship with you, so you could say like David, so you could say like I could say, Lord, you're my God. Now you think of the famous psalm, Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. You think about this verse here. O God, thou art my God. See, God is always that shepherd. He's always that one who cares for you. He is always personal, and he wants you to know him on a personal level. So when you begin going through your wilderness and you begin facing the situations and trials of your life, you could say, like David said over and over, I'm claiming how personal of a God you are right now, and therefore I'm resting in you with my perspective and how personal you are, leading to point 3 today, the pursuit. I want you to notice this about the pursuit. The pursuit is, early will I seek thee. O God, thou art my God, early will I seek thee. And as we understand early, sometimes in the Bible, early is referring to early in the morning. Sometimes in the Bible, the word early is referring to, earlier in life instead of waiting till later in life. The understanding that I'm going to remember now my Creator in the days of my youth, earlier rather than later. As you talk about your pursuit with God, either one of those can be applied as we are looking at our life, speaking of the pursuit that we need to have in God right now. In David's wilderness, the earlier he would seek God, the better. And you better believe that each morning he would awake with a pursuit of God. Early will I seek thee. I desire to see God in my wilderness. I want him right now, alive and well, to show himself for who he really is. I don't want to get in the way of what God is wanting to do, but I want God to get in the way of my enemies and my wilderness experience that is literally tearing me to pieces. So we talk about the perspective, and we talk about the personal, and we talk about the pursuit. Early will I seek thee. Are you somebody right now who has purposed to early seek God? Be that person. And then number 4, there's the pining. The pining, and this is important to understand as you talk about pursuing God in your wilderness here in Psalm 63. The pining is, my soul thirsteth for thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. The word pining there literally means to yearn intensely and persistently, especially for something unattainable. When the wilderness caused David weariness, discomfort, and thirst, his flesh cried out in unison with the desire of his soul for something that he could not get himself, something only God could give to him. Notice it, the pining. O God, thou art my God, early will I seek thee. My soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee in a dry and thirsty land where no water is. Now I pause right there because the verses continue. We read them at the beginning, but let's not miss the point right now. The point right now is the psalmist is not asking God for sunny days. Look at it, okay? He says, my soul thirsteth for thee. My flesh longeth for thee. Okay, he's not saying, Lord, I'm thirsting for the enemies to be put back, or I'm thirsting for those days when I was in the kingdom. He said, God, I'm pursuing you in your wilderness. Our topic and title, I want you to know that I am drawing close to you, and thus the title that we are looking at. And I throw that slide up there again here at the end just to remind you that the whole purpose of us looking at this psalm today is to get us to realize that our focal point in our wilderness is not, I wish I were out of this wilderness. It's, I want God. I thirst for you. I long for you. I want you. And maybe right now you could say, like David said, I go back to the title screen, that I'm going to pursue God in my wilderness. I'm going to be one that has the perspective, oh God. I'm going to be one that has the personal God as the one I'm crying out to, because he is personal. I'm going to understand my pursuit. Early will I seek thee. And then I'm going to recognize my pining. My pining pursuing is not for anything other than the Lord, because I know that when the Lord shows up in my situation, He doeth all things well. He maketh my soul to rest and to lie down. He feeds me where I need to be fed. He is a good God. And as we talk about pursuing God in your wilderness, I don't know what it is that you're going through right now, but I do know that God is still good. If you don't know God as your personal Savior, you can find out more about knowing Him and the gift of everlasting life by visiting aheartforrevival.com/believe, our website, and you can learn about salvation through Jesus Christ. That's the most important thing that I want you to know. But if you know that, if you know in whom you have believed, you can rest in Him. You can pursue God during your wilderness. You can find encouragement today. He is your help. He is your hope. He is the one that you are stayed upon. He changes everything. My dear friend, thank you for click and play. I do wish you a blessed day and trust that you'll make it a point to join us on our next broadcast for the glory of God.